And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to Gem in the Crypto, episode 594. Today is Monday, August 24th, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday. And today's top story is Warren Buffett index predicts stock crash. How will Bitcoin react? So many things wrong with IMF education video, says crypto Twitter. Former Sega and Atari executive joins the NFT gaming boom. Hawaii and Beijing jointly develop municipal blockchain directory. Boston Fed is looking at 30 to 40 blockchain networks for digital dollar experiments. And last but not least, University of Utah pays ransomware gang to prevent student data leak. But of course, we're going to check out these prices first and foremost. Oh man, I just clicked off the article and clicked back on the camera and saw I was all up in it. Y'all see my nose hairs? All up in the camera, all up in the music video. Come on over to the Gem in the Crypto. All right, prices of the day. $11,787 Bitcoin coming in, up 1.35%. Ethereum, $404, up 3.65%. Ripple at 28 cents, excuse me, up 2.28%. Chainlink back at $15.17, up 2.28%. We got 10 cent Stellar up 3.19%. Litecoin, big winner today, $62, up 5.5%. Excuse me. And we have EOS at $3.39, up 1.69%. So as you can see, for the most part, almost everything is in green. There are a few losers, but not by much. As you can see, these are all about 1% or less for the most part. So everything's back in green. Looks like the bull market is continuing. As I always say, we shall see, though. I mean, we are not out of the woods yet. We saw back in March how one little shift in the economy, a pandemic, as some may call it, caused Bitcoin to drop from like $9,000 to $10,000 all the way to $3,000 some change. So again, we're not out of the woods, but this is perfect time for those traders out there for sure. Tiffany from New York, what's going on? Christopher Ladd, Brian Smith, PFC Wells, going on track. Zay has been bounced around. He's dealing with some stuff on the East Coast, but he should be on tomorrow for the interview we're going to have with Jacques Voorhees, the father of Eric Voorhees, and one of the projects he's bringing out to the crypto space as well. What's going on, Khalil, Lucky Lloyd, Crypto Culture? Hello, everyone. Now, not really the top story, but a story I did want to cover rolling out the Bitcoin price is the Warren Buffett index, which predicts a stock crash, and they're asking how will Bitcoin react. It looks like the Buffett indicator has hit levels unseen since the dot-com bubble, and Bitcoin can see a major reaction in the event of a major crash in stocks. Now, for those who are anything like me, who never heard of the Buffett indicator at the time, kind of like the Waffle House indicator, but for stocks. For those who know about the Waffle House indicator, is all about if there were an environmental disaster, if Waffle Houses are open in the area, that kind of gives you a gauge of how bad the disaster is. If Waffle Houses are closed, then the city kind of goes off of that and say, hey, this disaster is totally bad. We need to shut everything down as well. That came about from being in the South. Waffle Houses, after their safety inspection one year, were found to be more secure and more ready for disaster than some actual city services were. So most cities, or many cities in the South, go off the Waffle House indicator, for those who don't know. Well, it looks like the Buffett indicator, which again is for the traditional market, is hinting that the United States stock market is currently at dot-com bubble levels. Yahoo Finance reported on August 20th. The indicator divides the Wilshire 5,000 index by the GDP of the U.S. And that probably is the Wilshire. I said the Wilshire because I'm over here in Los Angeles. It looks like, again, the historical average of the indicator is 1. And before the dot-com bubble, it hovered at 1.71. Currently, the Buffett indicator is reportedly at 1.7, signaling that the stock market is highly overvalued. Now, that's something I could have told you myself. Actually, we've been screaming on this show since 2017. We should have already entered some sort of recession. And at this point, we might be looking at depression next time we see a real pullback from stocks. So far, we've only seen cracks. And this presidential administration has done what the last one did as well, which is kick the can down the road. Everyone's trying to kick the can. So when that, when the hammer drops, when it comes out, hey, we all broke, that whoever's in that presidential office isn't the one to blame, right? So I think that, again, stocks, the market has already been highly overvalued. I think it's been like that for a few years. But now to see the Warren Buffett, the experts actually say it and have his indicator, again, at this same, basically the same amount as it was when the dot-com bubble popped. It's real interesting to see. I would like to know what the indicator was at in 2008 during the housing crisis. I would love to see if he had any type of indicator then that something was going to go wrong. But if this is any indicator and is actually accurate, then we may finally be seeing the U.S. stock market taking a big slump in the short term. Now, of course, this is all important for crypto because we want to know how Bitcoin will react. Again, I think we're going to see what we saw in March. In the short term, we're going to see a steep drop. I mean, the type of drop to scare people away, especially right now. If you got people buying in $11,000, $12,000 and this thing drops to $3,000 or $4,000, expect to see some weak hands and people getting sick, especially when the traditional market is dropping. No one's hiring because of pandemic, or you can't go to work because of the pandemic. With all those things combined, I think Bitcoin will initially react negatively, and then I think we'll see what we just saw in March to now. We will see a very quick climb right back up, and then this time when it climbs again, I think that's when we'll start seeing it blink as always, because people will truly lose faith in the traditional market if we see it take a big dip. Of course, the biggest question is, when will this happen? Again, everyone's been kicking the can down the road. Everything didn't just become overvalued overnight, right? It's kind of like becoming obese. You don't just wake up and become obese. It was like things you had to do to become obese, right? In fact, some people could have called you out 3 or 4 months prior and said, hey, you're starting to look obese. But they probably would have also been called out for being mean to you. So I think it's the same thing with the market. It's not all of a sudden just highly overvalued. It's been overvalued, but no one wants to talk about it because, hey, are you not American? Are you not here for the greatness of this of these states of the United of Americas, right? You can't say anything bad about the market and not have people point fingers at you. So again, I think it's been highly overvalued. No one's been saying anything. But I think the biggest question is, when will the hammer drop? When will the Fed get audited? When will we figure out that all this printing of money was not good for our economy? That is the real question. What's going on? Tony Nolly, Ross Shu, Timothy Grigsby said, when Buffett is liquidating his bank positions and moving to gold, you know it's time to make moves, right? And that's, as you see here, that's in the article. I didn't mention that. But on August 14th, Warren Buffett led Berkshire Hathaway invested in Barrick Gold, the second biggest precious metal miner in the world. Some analysts said it could benefit Bitcoin long term as it coincides with this stock market bubble alarm. As Timothy just said, perfect. I mean, when Warren Buffett starts getting out of some of his positions to go into gold, I think he's taking his indicator pretty seriously. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it a little bit serious as well. Brett PG said this fool is calling for $3,000 to $4,000 Bitcoin. Is not overvalued. It's the dollar that's falling. No, I agree with you. I said the traditional market was overvalued, for one, and for two, Bitcoin was just at $3,000 to $4,000 in March. So if you don't think it can happen again, you are crazy, man. Let's see. He said, and Bitcoin is just supply shop. Again, I agree with you. Long term, I think the war has already been won, and Bitcoin will be one of the winners. But I think you're also crazy if you don't think the dollar is going to drop or the U.S. economy is going to drop and Bitcoin is just going to keep trucking on along. There are people in the United States called billionaires that's not going to allow that to happen. If billionaires start losing money, you better believe people in Bitcoin will at least initially start losing money, as we already seen them manipulated before. That's my personal thoughts. I could be wrong, right? All right, top story of the day, though. So many things wrong with IMF education and video, says crypto Twitter. That is right. According to an educational video from the International Monetary Fund, cryptocurrencies could be the next step in the evolution of money. Now, to be fair, this is an old video. This video came out in 2018. It was quickly buried and then is reappearing. Now, just to follow this narrative, it's something happening that we said was already going to happen. Big organizations and institutions, especially those in the financial sector, you talk about banks, capital funds, capital management. Again, the Bank of America's, the Wells Fargo's, the JP Morgan Chase's, the Goldman Sachs's, the IMF. They are late to the party, right? Officially, no one's late to the party. Crypto is still new. But as far as the community goes, they are late to the party, right? They not only were they against Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, they intentionally tried to kill it. So it's just like in real life, if someone tries to kill your baby, they can never watch them again, right? They can never be your baby's friend. You don't want them telling stories about your kid. They try to kill it. So that's how I feel about some of these places. And that's how a lot of crypto Twitter feels. So with the IMF, the big thing was, again, this is an old video, but the thing that we said was going to happen is happening. And that is big companies, big institutions or organizations that manage capital, whatever form that they do it in, like the IMF, are trying to change the narrative on cryptocurrency. Not only they're trying to change it, they want to be the ones that dictate it and tell you what the narrative is. That way you can look at them as the subject matter expert. So as long as they start putting out these educational videos now, and people say, well, I heard about Bitcoin and crypto from the IMF the first time I ever heard of it. They broke it down to me or whatever, and they've been giving me all my information. Oh, now I'm going to buy this IMF coin that they're offering. You see how that works? They're promoting that narrative. Now, the issue that most people have with, again, these big places, these companies and institutions like the IMF, preaching crypto and now trying to teach it, is not only do they get some of the information wrong, but also these are the same people that just come when the time's right. There's a reason why they released this video in 2018 after the historic bull run of 2017, right? They're trying to capitalize as a business. As soon as the bear market of 2018 hit and the regulators went crazy because places like IMF aren't smart enough to align their chips and say, hey, regulators, can you lay off a Bitcoin while we're promoting ourselves, or lay off a crypto while we're promoting ourselves? No, they didn't even work together. They let the regulators run crazy. They promoted a video during a bear market, or the onset of a bear market, and then they quickly took it down. They took it off the website. They scrubbed it. Hey, we ain't got nothing to do with crypto. 2018, 2019, ugly bear market. 2020 comes, prices rebounding. It looks like we're back in the bull phase again. And what happens? IMF releases the video again. This time, perfect timing. We're not going to wait until after the bull market when we're in a bear market and we look foolish. No, we're going to re-release this video at the beginning of a bull market when people think this is our first time. We're all about it. We're all on it. And again, this is why crypto Twitter is pissed off at the IMF. Now, we're not going to watch the whole video, but here's some of it. You can see it on Twitter. I'll post the link in the chat. But it's a 2-minute video. What is cryptocurrency?
When we buy or sell things, the payment is usually processed by a bank or credit card company. Problem number 1, the companies often take a cut of the transaction.
Okay, that's
2,
fair.
we have to trust these companies
All right.
to protect their sensitive data.
Talk about these third parties.
3, most international payments take a long time.
The timeliness
and are
of
expensive.
transfers. Okay.
To solve these problems, we could use a special currency that is secure and based on the science of cryptography.
Special currency, you
which is a way
say?
of protecting information using mathematics. This
So
special
as you can see,
currency is called a cryptocurrency.
the video is super
It only
corny,
exists in computer
but it's
networks.
good that it's
Send
corny
someone
because,
a special
again,
currency
you're trying to
that
explain
goes
something
directly to them,
very,
removing the middleman.
technically
And at the same time,
sound and in depth
the
to
transaction
a
brought
very,
down
rudimentary audience for the most part. No one gets crypto.
which means it's almost impossible.
So that's the, again, that's the commercial for it. It's a minute long. You can check it out. But one of the things I want to talk about is something in the article people on Twitter was getting pissed off about. Now, here's the thing, people. If you want mainstream adoption, nothing will ever be or sound correct. Let's just put it like that. That's the easiest way I can say it. If you want mass adoption, nothing's going to sound right? As far as when you start getting banks involved, you get the IMF involved. When you get these big institutions involved and they're trying to go out for mass adoption, you have to remember over half the planet doesn't have a high school degree. And you're trying to talk to the entire planet about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It's not transferring. I remember the first time they talked to me about Bitcoin. 100 words a minute, technical terms. And I'm like, hey, let's slow this thing down. I'm smart enough to get what you're saying, but I still don't get what you're saying. So we need to slow down, right? And that's one of the reasons why we created this show. This entire show is about talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the news and stuff, so people have an idea of what's going on in the space without being technically sound and knowing everything. They don't need to know cross-atomic swaps. They just need to know they can trade cryptos inside their wallet. They don't need to know the name for it, right? So that's the only thing I want to call out when it comes to some of the Twitter and Reddit users. One thing's wrong. A Reddit user said Nano over BTC. Quoted, just right there, you shouldn't even listen to his quote, Nano over Bitcoin, right? But anyway, quote, he's being said or she's being said, they get so many things wrong, like calling private keys passwords. Again, fair, and I get it. From the community point of view, you're like, IMF's doing a commercial, they're calling a private key a password, they can't even get the lingo right. it's pissing you off. I get it. But again, looking at what I used to do, you know, in the military, I was a public affairs officer. Like, this was my job. I can't come out and tell you an admiral what he does at a war room table, calling airstrikes, and this person does that. Like, you will not understand military acronyms and lingo. So we have to go out and say things like, basically the CEO of the military will have his workers do X, Y, and Z. This is literally how we break it down to civilian audience. You have to replace military positions and military words with regular words that don't always align, but at least they get the general understanding. So I don't want to be too hard, even on the IMF or their video, with some of the things that didn't go, you know, that didn't explain things in the most technically sound spot. Also here, the second one, the video also did not discuss mining or coin supply. People, if you are introducing Bitcoin to someone for the first time and you go into detail or really even bring up mining or coin supply, the average person won't understand. It's that simple. And what's crazy about that statement is that the average person will ask the questions to get there. Well, who decides how much it is? You know, who decides who gets it? How do you find it, or how do you make it, right? Those questions will be asked, but even explaining it to them, we all know how difficult it is. You're trying to display new currency that's a digital currency that's on a digital ledger that everyone can see. Then you're adding in how to mine it and coin supply. I mean, we've done this how many times over again? This is at minimum an hour-and-a-half conversation just to get people to to first grade level of understanding. So again, to do a 2-minute commercial, and you got to remember, 2 minutes for a commercial or a video is a long time, people. That's a long time. So do a 2-minute commercial and try to explain Bitcoin and private keys or passwords and mining and coin supply is not happening. So again, I think we're going to see more commercials like this. We're going to see more videos like this where it's going to be very short, 30 to 45 seconds, and they're only going to be telling you about one thing. Here's a Bitcoin wallet or a crypto wallet. Here's a password. Here's an address. Here's how you mine, or here's how you do coin supply. Expect those short videos. But again, we wanted mass adoption. This is how you get it. It's not the way we look. It's not pretty, but as I say, it's a base hit. More people are going to find out about it. And again, last but not least, another Reddit user pointed out that the video seems to focus more on the disadvantages of cryptocurrency. They present volatility as entirely negative. He said, referring to the animation depicting volatility as a floor crumbling beneath the speaker's feet. What about the moonshots? I didn't even get that far. Let's see if we can just see the floor dropping under the speaker's feet for the I bet you it's toward the end. They're like, we know we told you all this good stuff, but you can also lose all your money.
This new technology.
There it is. Oh, there it is. Oh, they did have the floor breaker.
At the moment, cryptocurrencies are highly volatile. They can't process large amounts of.
Again, that's fair, people, because by and large, a person getting into a new, whether the financial, you know, whether it's fiat currency, a Bitcoin, whatever new financial sphere a person is entering, by and large, they're not entering it to trade. They're entering it to actually use it or to use it as a store of value. So I'm not mad at that. That's fair because, again, by and large, people want, people are pushing for Bitcoin and digital currency to use to trade, or excuse me, not to trade, but to use to transact or to use as a store of value, not necessarily to trade. So I think that's fair. But again, people, bottom line is expect to see more videos like this. IMF is just one of the first to do it. But replace IMF with Bank of America, Chase, whatever, and you're going to have the same video. What's going on? Let's see. We got some more people. Sergeant Crypto. Hey, A. Kent. A. Kent said, these fellas, now the sad part is the uninitiated will jump all over this. I mean, they really will, people. Again, expect the IMF coin. They're a business. They are a business, which is why, like most businesses, they have timing. We saw that with the release in 2018 and re-release of this video in 2020. But yeah, the sad part is once they pump out the IMF coin, people are going to be all over it. Sergeant Crypto said they're trying to act like they've been in space since Satoshi's white paper, and then they're going to shield their CBDCs as real crypto. Overall, still net positive for Bitcoin and crypto. Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. Timothy Grigsby said that glazed look. Yeah, A. Kent said I'll start directing them to this video. Perhaps they'll get it then, right? It's unfortunate, too. You try to tell somebody about Bitcoin, they won't listen to you. You show them an IMF video, they're all on board all of a sudden, right? Lucky Lloyd said volatility is a great thing when you know what you're doing. You're right. Like times like right now, great thing, people. And it's one of those things where it's unfortunate. These are the things that aren't being taught in school, right? I would love to take like a basic trading course in middle school or high school. It's like, hey, you like to just trade fiat currencies at the time all day, right? Now it's crypto. Let's see. Tiffany from New York said Life in Debt is a 2001 American documentary film directed by Stephanie Black. Examines the economic and social situation in Jamaica and specifically how the International Monetary Fund effed them. Oh, I already know. People, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, all those big organizations are just organizations for the likes of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Jamie the Diamond to just throw their money in. It's like a Bitcoin mixer. The IMF and the World Bank, all they are like fiat Bitcoin mixers, if you know what that means. You know, this is launder. They all laundering, all right? Let's see. Here's a great news story. Former Sega and Atari executive joins the NFT gaming boom. Now, this is a short story, but I wanted to touch on it. The traditional gaming industry dips its toes into blockchain. That's right. As part of its foray into the burgeoning non-fungible token NFT gaming sector, NFT gaming ecosystem provider 8 Hours Foundation appointed Michael Katz as a member of its advisory board. Katz has a long 25-year tenure within the video game entertainment sector, including top roles in major gaming companies. He was the first former president. Woo-wee! I'm gonna have to say that one more time, but slower. He was the first, or he was the former. I put it in the first myself. Okay, I was gonna say that's crazy, but still, he was the former president of Atari Video Game Division, president of Sega in the U.S., and Mattel's marketing director. I mean, listen, people. Just off that resume, I'm gonna give this human a hand clap because that is very hard. You talking about you went from Atari to Sega and Mattel. I know everyone who watches aren't gamers, but if you do watch us, you know that we are gamers. We like to look at the gaming sector, not just because it's fun, but also because when it comes to new technology, the three groups of people to use new technology first and foremost usually are criminals, porn industry, and then the video game industry. That's the types of people, the type of organizations. Criminals, video game industry, and porn industry. Those are the three industries that usually grabs hold and utilizes technology before any other industry out there. So we always follow the gaming industry because we know that they're already implementing blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, NFTs, all this new technology in the games and try to get it rolling. And now I'm looking at this with 8 Hours Foundation. I'm looking at them as the same as Coinbase. They just made a brilliant move to move them light years ahead and to actually bridge that gap between the game, the video game sector, and the cryptocurrency and the blockchain sector. If you remember, Coinbase started hiring the executive from TD Ameritrade, the old Facebook PR people. They're public relations people. They were hiring, I think they got somebody from Goldman Sachs. They're basically just going through getting all the top execs of Wall Street that they could. We also know that Coinbase has basically been prepping for an IPO, right? It's the same thing with this industry. They're saying, hey, all right, we got the gamers, we got people ready to work, we have people from the blockchain and crypto space. Now we just need somebody who's been around the block and knows how to merge all this, how to bring this all together and get this project rolling. Again, they hired Michael Katz, to do that. A veteran in the gaming industry, and I'm excited to see it because I can't wait to see what his leadership does, or what at least his advising does to bring the gaming and the blockchain and crypto industry closer. So again, the 8 Hours Foundation Advisory Board includes former execs from mainstream gaming franchises such as Call of Duty, Guitar Hero, and Tetris. And I also will tell you this, people, speaking of Call of Duty, is literally an industry of its own. I mean, just look at YouTube and Facebook right now. It's crazy the amount of people streaming. I was talking to someone this weekend, some guys I know who are literally, since the pandemic, have quit their jobs or, been furloughed, done working, and they've switched over to Call of Duty full time, and they told me it's coming along. I know they do weekly tournaments, anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 now, weekly regular tournaments for those who are interested. So again, this is no longer just like the hee-hee-ha-ha video games. It's like, no, there's money being pumped into it, a lot of money being pumped into it, especially as esports starts to blow up. If they can bring blockchain to esports and all that, and we watch it grow from there, I think there will be a lot of money to be made on the investment side as well. When you start seeing some of these companies say, hey, we're going to have tokens, we're doing crowdfundings or whatever you want to call them for these games, or we're doing tokens, you buy these tokens in these games, which can be used for whatever. Once we start seeing that regularly happen frequently, actually using more cryptocurrencies, I think we'll see more mass adoption as well. So again, this is on Cointelegraph. That's Michael Katz. Daniel Willis says Sonic the BitHog, right? I can't wait for the first Bitcoin game would actually have like a Bitcoin avatar or something. That would be pretty cool. Let's see. Sergeant Crypto said the IMF are just payday loan predators, basically. Timothy Grigsby, I was laughing as I was trying to say your name. Sonic been after that digital coin from day one. That's a great point. What if they just really redid Sonic and every coin was a Bitcoin in there or some type of crypto coin to get? That would be pretty cool. Look, everybody's giving the thumbs up to Timothy on it. Yeah, that was a good one right there. All right, last few quick stories. The next couple are kind of similar. Hawaii and Beijing jointly developed municipal blockchain directory. This is going to be pretty quick. It's basically saying that Beijing municipal government has an ambitious plan for smart city infrastructure based on the Hawaii cloud blockchain. So they're basically trying to work together. As you can see, according to the official report on August 24th, the system still being trialed is aimed at improving government services and supporting the city's business environment. It looks like they will jointly develop a blockchain directory for use across urban governance. And it's going to link the city's 50 municipal departments and support cross-departmental sharing and management of big data. Now, again, base hit, people. Good and bad on this, good and bad. The good is that the cities are using it, right? This is happening. Blockchain technology, all this stuff is happening, right? So that is a good thing about it. Now, the not so good thing about it is that we know this is Hawaii's blockchain, which means this is going to be a centralized blockchain. And that's kind of okay. I get it for city services. Again, positive and negative. The positive is as long as it's for city services, then it makes sense. All right, you're connecting them all together. Finally, maybe when, I'm not sure how Beijing does it, but it is China. So I'm assuming all the city services report to one government, right? or one chain of command. So I could imagine where now you don't have an issue of working with your electricity company to maybe your water company, I don't know, whatever city service, whether it's the trash pickups, electricity, whether it's public parks, whatever it is, to have them all on the same blockchain, to be able to access different portals and have all this stuff tracking on the same set of data service. That makes sense. Now, what doesn't make sense, and the bad thing about it is this now is centralized, right? If one person hacks it, I mean, what are you telling me? Will they have access to all 50 municipal departments? Will they be able to shut down the water at will? Will they be able to shut down or change trash routes? I don't know. So again, that's kind of the same thing that we always talk about, the internet of Bitcoin and the intranet, as we already saw companies do when the internet was first formed. That's what this is. They're not making a public blockchain. They're making their private blockchain. It's nothing different than what they're really doing, but basically just making it more efficient. But it can still be hacked. In fact, it may be even easier to be hacked once somebody cracks into it, because again, it is a centralized blockchain. So again, it's positive that cities are starting to go toward this, but the negative part is they're still using that same dated mentality of trying to control everything. And that's how we see hacks happen all the time. Everyone trying to control everything. Tiffany from New York said, isn't this exactly what Akon is linking up with Quarter Protocol to do? Very similar, right? Again, this is the future. I think the first step of this process, as far as getting cities linked up to it, is the control step. How can city government, how can regulators, or how can contractors, whoever's involved once it gets started, how can we keep control or at least get paid, right? That's what everyone wants to know. It has not been figured out yet. So everyone's still working on it. But yes, I think this is the same thing Akon's doing. A. Kent said, now is the time to circle around with your ideals. You put on the back burner, repitch them. That is very true. Adoption is coming online thanks to IMF, Chase, PayPal, Cash App, and Twitter. And I'll let him tell some of his stuff he's doing. I've always been more of the silent side of this operation, but Bitcoin Zay is definitely out there pitching a lot of stuff for us. And we're getting a lot of good reception for a lot of things. And, as we said years ago, we decided to wait and not hop down the ICO bandwagon. We saw earlier that wasn't the greatest ideal. I'm glad we did not. But yeah, we have actually been starting to circle back to different companies and talk about different ideals. It's still early, crazy enough. People are still scared. They're starting to dip their feet in there, but they're still kind of scared. Let's see. Exactly. Oh, I just saw that comment from Sergeant Crypto. Sergeant Crypto replied, said most sheeple aren't going to pay attention until they get the okay from the likes of IMF, big banks, and government. So yeah, but what A. Kent's talking about, which I'm with, is he's saying to actually go to IMF, Chase, and PayPal as they look for all these people and ideals. And it's crazy. They all are actually listening now too. That's why we always say the war is won. Same thing here. Boston Fed is looking at 30 to 40 blockchain networks for digital dollar experiments. I mean, it's all in the title itself, people. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, one of 12 regional Federal Reserve banks operating under the U.S. Central Bank, is evaluating more than 30 different blockchain networks to determine if they would support a digital dollar. Again, is already saying this article is years away, which I won't say years, probably just a year or two maybe. And you can read more about this if you want. It's on CoinDesk, but again, everything's in the title, similar to the last. Expect to see this happen. And you got to remember, since they're all under the central bank, the central bank doesn't need everybody to do it. We just need, hey, Boston, you give it a try. It's a pretty big, mid-sized city, large city. You give it a try and let us know how it goes. Hey, I don't know. Maybe we'll do one over here in Wisconsin. Maybe we'll do one in Texas. Maybe we'll do a couple overseas. This is how it works. If the Boston Fed can get this program up and running, once they select their blockchain network, their coin, wherever they want to use, once they get it up and rolling, the central bank is going to look at it. They're going to, do all their due diligence. The analysts are going to come in. They're going to crunch the numbers, and they're going to decide: does this make sense? Does this blockchain make sense? Does this digital dollar make sense? Does this process we do it by make sense? The basics. I mean, at the end of the day, the war is won. That's what I'm saying. The basic of this story, the basis of this story is that the war has already been won. Now that we have Federal Reserve, banks actually coming out saying, yeah, we're looking into this right now. So again, as we always say, if they tell you they're looking into it, it's already been looked into. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we could drop some zeros right here, and instead of saying 30 to 40, it's probably more like 3 to 4, because there aren't 30 to 40 blockchains a bank should actually be using. I'll give you 3 to 4 you might want to play with. Other than that, you really want to have billions of dollars on an untested blockchain? Give me a break. I'm not believing it. All right, last story, but not least for sure. We always talk about scams and ransomwares, but I wanted to point something else out that we have been pointing out on this show for forever. I was going to point out, University of Utah pays ransomware gang to prevent student data leak. Now listen, all I'm saying is who else in the space say gang, gang all the time, all right? Like, this is the one instance where the ransomware gang got away with it. It sounds like a sentence myself or Bitcoin Zay would say. And this isn't the first time, Cointelegraph. We've been calling you out for years. All we ever ask is just to give us the shout out or the link or where you all get some of your good news from as well, or at least some of your commentary. But it looks like the University of Utah's College of Social and Behavioral Science confirmed that they were hit by a ransomware attack. I said that wrong. The University of Utah's College of Social and Behavioral Science confirmed that they were hit by a ransomware attack on July 19th. Again, something we like to point out, people. By the time you hear about these hacks and attacks, they've already happened. We're just now finding out about this about 5 weeks later, right? And I guarantee you when the college found out about it, they were probably already getting hacked for about a week or two, right? This is how it works. So whenever these companies come out and say, when they mention hack, because you remember, this is like, no one wants to hear that. No one's going to mention the word. Could you imagine before you're about to have sex with someone you mention STDs? I don't know about this right now. This is turning me off, right? It's the same here. There's no business out there that's even going to mention the word hack if they haven't already or are undergoing a hack, right? So just by them actually bringing this out and talking about this means it was probably 2 to 3 times worse than what we think, right? It looks like, according to a statement issued by the university, the gang left many computers inaccessible for several hours as staff took servers offline to prevent the malware from spreading to other machines on the school's network. Following internal discussion, officials decided to work with the school's cyber insurance provider to pay a $457,059 ransom in order to prevent a data leak. Staff from the university clarified that the insurance policy paid part of the ransom and they covered the rest themselves. No details about the crypto involved in the transaction were disclosed. In early June, media outlets reported that the NetWalker ransomware gang had attacked Michigan State University, or MSU, while the gang threatened to leak students' records and financial documents. Officials from the university have said that they refused to pay the ransom. I was just about to say, listen, I didn't even need to finish reading it. I almost cut myself off. I got so excited. You all know I'm from Detroit. I have a lot of family that went to Michigan State University. That's my family's school for the most part. I went to North Carolina State. But my family are a bunch of Spartans, and I can tell you this, from everyone I know that went to Michigan State from Detroit, they are not playing that ransomware game at all, including the university's officials, as you can see. I'm not sure, I told somebody about this recently. I think it was like back in 2010, 2011, 2009 or something, when a terrorist got on a plane headed to Detroit, trying to blow the thing up. He had like some type of soda bottle on his ankle, and people heard it fizz and started smoking. Long story short, that flight did not end how he thought it would end. It ended with a bunch of people headed to Detroit jumping on top of that head, trying to figure out why he was trying to blow up the plane, or if everyone was just going to sit and watch him. Like, what was he thinking? No one knows, right? But it's the same thing. Michigan State don't play that game. All right. If anything, they're going to put that money to the students and have them try to figure out who's actually hacking them. So shout out to Michigan State for standing strong. And the only reason I say that is because to go back to the University of Utah's College of Social and Behavioral Science, here's the issue we always talk about with ransomware. Criminals are going to criminal. I'm glad the university did do this. I'm glad that they paid the ransom. If I was a student there, I would be happy to see that they paid the ransom. But on the flip side, if I was at Michigan State, I would understand them not paying the ransom as well. And the reason why is because Michigan State is in an area where they know criminals are going to criminal. I can't speak of Utah. I don't know how much crime is in Utah. I can't tell you. But I can tell you the crime that's in Michigan State and around the corner from it, people are used to it. They can kind of, it's not like it's okay, but they're kind of used to it. And I make that point again to say that even though the Utah paid that money, there is nothing stopping those hackers from releasing that information, right? There's nothing stopping them from saying, thanks for sending us your money. Now I'm about to go to the dark web and sell it. And instead of having $500,000, I have my whole million now, or at least almost was about 900,000 some change. So that's the only scary part about all these ransomware attacks, is that they could still release it. Or what happens in this gang, they goes broke. You know, criminals spend money very quickly, people, which is why they keep committing criminal acts. You don't hear about these criminals, oh, I'm going to do this one and I'm done for 10 or 20 years. That's the movies. No, I'm going to do this one and I'll be back on Wednesday, right? So my thing is, what's going to happen when they spend this money? What's going to happen when they need another target? Is it going to be Lonzo off training day talking about, I got an old account? They won't miss a thing, because if that's the case, they'll come right back to Utah and they won't go back to Michigan State. You get what I'm saying? Michigan State got hit. They didn't play ball. They're not coming back because they already know they won't make money. Utah played ball. Hey, maybe we'll come back in 6 months, a couple years, and we'll ask for just 150,000. We know you got it. We know you got it. So that's the only thing about it. But I definitely want to make sure you are aware of this stuff, because the problem with it is that, as we keep saying, no one's safe. Schools aren't safe. Institutions aren't safe. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hacked. And the worst part about it is these are now the same people, not necessarily Utah or Michigan State, but these institutions, these banks and these financial organizations are all going to be the people leading the way and leading the narrative when it comes to the cryptocurrency space, when it comes to blockchain technology and all this other stuff. They're going to be the ones leading the narrative, and they can't even keep what they have safe now, or they can't even keep what they have now safe. So one of those things to think about. It's crazy, people. But it's also something that should be a reinforcement to you, to let you know that you are still ahead of the curve when it comes to cryptocurrency, because the IMF is just now releasing another video in 2020 that they released poorly, in poor fashion in 2018, right? Let's see. A. Kent says, start hashtagging these gang news articles. You know what I'm saying? Look, we've called it out many times, but that's one. Can no one say they talk about any other place? Like, come on, I've been saying that gang since I joined the military, really, and found out what time it was. All right. When I had a bunch of Navy SEALs tell me stories about how they lay on roofs for days, I was like, oh, y'all really out here? Yes, they are. Tiffany from New York said, why don't they go and hit up my student loans? Jesus Christ. Right? Go, was it Sally Mae, Fannie Mae? What's the name? Go hack them. I'm with you on that. They be hacking the wrong stuff. Don't hack the people that's helping us. Tiffany said, they said do a GoFundMe. That's right. Just shake them down a bit. There we go, Rob. All right, people. Other than that, that is the show for today. It was a little bit longer. has some more news stories, so definitely want to hit him. But we will see you all tomorrow. Again, we have an interview with Jack Keys Voorhees. He'll be introducing his new product he has coming out in the crypto space. Be very interesting. I'm sure he'll talk about his son and some of his son's success as well in the crypto space and how they both got started. We're going to try to do that live, but if you do not see us live tomorrow, that means we had some type of issue. We're just going to pre-record it, and we'll release it either tomorrow sometime or Wednesday if we have issues. So be on the lookout for that. Other than that, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Make sure you smash that like and share so we can get the real crypto influencers out there on the main street. Thanks, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers.